Alrighty, good morning everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a install video again. This time what it's going to be is it's going to be on my 1991 Mazda MX-5 Miata. And what today's overall plan is the shifter, which I'll show you here. The shifter in the car is pretty bunk. Right now, it is the OEM shift knob in here, and give me one sec, and if we hop on in, we have the OEM shift knob, if it'll actually focus, which it probably won't, so we have the OEM shift knob right here. I just started unthreading it. This boot has been torn and beat up since the day I bought it, and yes, I'm going to fix this gap for the double din. It's very, I guess sloppy, you could say. I know I'm in neutral, but it just doesn't feel good. So what today's goal is right over there. I have my short shifter kit, and yes, that is a kit actually off eBay, that I will be installing. Everything should be pretty straightforward. I know it's a Miata. I know there's a million videos out there on how to do a short shifter or alternatives, but I figured I'm doing it to my car, so why not do a video? So we'll just kind of get right into things. I just took all my crap out of my armrest. I still have a few more things that need to come out of here, and other than that, what we're going to do to start things off here is I will show you in just one second here. So we're going to take our screwdriver, and there's going to be one Phillips head screw here and one Phillips head screw here. I took mine out. Both of these are now what should be fully loose. Awesome. Good enough. And then we're going to come up front here. Mine had this little cup holder thing, just rip it right off, throw it away, whatever you want to do with it. And then come in here, just undo this. And then once this one is fully undone, there we go. You have one right here on the side that we will also undo. And I believe one on the other side, but I honestly think mine doesn't have one on the other side. It's whatever, it's just a little piece of plastic, so it's not the end of the world. And then over here, mine doesn't have. Alright, and before you can go gung-ho and lift this up and everything, you have to unthread your shift knob. Mine was actually on there pretty tight initially. Once it's broken loose, obviously it just threads right off. Coming over here, shift boot. Some people have a zip tie on here to keep this folded down in. Mine, the last owner, either it broke inside of here or they just never did it and tucked it in. If you do have a zip tie, it might be holding it to the actual shifter rod here, whatever it's called, itself. So just be careful of that before you go ripping this right out. Another thing to note, back here, mine is a 91, so all I have is a fuel door release. But if you have anyone after, you might have a trunk release in here as well. So when you go to take this out, it's not going to lift right up. Go up to the front here, lift forward, and then pull it forward, and then you can lift it right out. This section here, we're just going to set on over to the side and entirely out of the way. Now next, what I plan on doing with this is I'd like to get the kit that covers this to make it so you don't have a center armrest. I always thought that just looked very clean and very nice, but I do have to get a new one of these because this one is gone. You can see the bottom there and everything. It's seen the test of time. It's from the 90s, so what do you expect? Next, what we're going to do, we're going to take our impact or ratchet with the 10 mil on here. Then what we're going to do is, I found it easier if you just push it to one side. You can gain access to each one. Make sure it's on reverse, and they come off fairly easy. Just be sure not to lose them down in the transmission. And same thing here. We might have to move this over so that we can gain access to the further one. Get rid of that there. If it wants to let go. And then the last one over here. Cool. So now that all those are out, this actually can lift just straight up. Be careful when you lift this out because there is going to be gear oil in here that I recommend replacing. Mine is probably going to be disgusting because I doubt the last owner cleaned it. And what do you know? It is disgusting. So what we'll do here, let me quick move this somewhere that isn't my interior, and we'll go from there. One thing to note while you're in here, what's it called? Most of you are going to have to remove this rubber shroud. Very, very easy to undo. You already have your 10 mil out. 10 mil here, 10 mil right under here. Over here, another 10 mil, and then right back in here, you have another 10 mil. Then this little thing comes right out. It's literally just like rubber, so be a little careful with it. It's gonna want to probably break and rip, especially if yours is factory. Last owner of mine looks like it was never replaced, and this is just gone. This I do have to order. I don't think I have another one here off my old Miata, but I'm gonna take a quick look and see before I continue. So hold on one second, and while I do that, what I'm also going to do, I'm going to look for transmission fluid. I think I have some in the basement. Items we're going to need here. One, oddly enough, is a turkey baster, and the other one is, this is Valvoline. It's just their normal gear oil. I went online and looked at what a Miata is supposed to take, and this is what the internet told me, so it is what it is. Should work. I used this before on my 1990 Miata, and it worked just fine. So the turkey baster, you're going to see what we're going to use it for in just a moment here. We're going to be extracting the old gear oil and then putting the new in. So here we go. So throw that over there, and we'll jump on down here. Actually, let me grab a cup. Do that real quick. This looks like a good enough candidate. Throw the dirty, disgusting gear oil in this coolant thing. It's probably a terrible place for this, but do it anyway. Alrighty. So, what you're gonna do, squeeze in on it, and just let it start taking it in. Stuff is disgusting. Nice. Nice. Oh, cool. Alright, well, I guess it's one with the container now. Well, I guess that's good enough. We'll just throw this over here and deal with it another time. Alright, back to the install. Pretty much what I'll show you what I did, so it all makes sense. I took an actual hammer, not a rubber mallet, and I took the long screwdriver you had originally seen me use. I had moved the camera gear and everything out of the way so that I could get in here like this. I did that because you get a little bit more room. By doing that, right in there is where it sits. This is what it looks like right here. As you can see, it's got some corrosion, it's got some dirt, grime, everything, trans fluid. So it's caked in there. I fully punched out. What happened was I took this, which is wide enough to knock it free by swinging at it a couple times. Then I took our small Phillips head and then I just lined that up with the hole and gave it a few hits, and it pushed it right out through the back. Mine actually fell and went down into the abyss that is the trans tunnel, but luckily it just fell right through the other end. Alright, next part of everything is going to be, now that we have the bolts or little nut thing out, what we're going to do now is we are going to take our flathead. I know I'm including a few tools that I didn't mention from the start, so I apologize for that. But we're going to take our flathead, and then we're going to come right on down in here. You will see, if we take a look here, the whole reason we took that pin out was because right down in here there is a bushing that I believe the whole kit is just going to fully get rid of. So take that out. We are sliding the pin, or this section, in where the pin is. What we want to be sure of is that when we install this, we have this going over that pin, and when we do it, we want to make sure it is completely flat and level going in. And then if we just give it a little tap, it'll sit fully flush in there. Now that that's in and flat, we're all good to go. Now we'll move on to this part. Alrighty, so like I said, now that we have that little locking collar down in place and it's in there nice and snug, what we're going to do now is we're going to take this upper section, and since the dowel rod is there, from everything I've read online for any form, we want this pin in the back now. Just a little bit of a change. So what we're going to do is, we're probably, I don't know if it makes a difference which direction it sits on here, but, oh yes it does. Okay, so you want to make sure that when you do it, like for instance, if I do it this way, these holes line up and it sits like that. That's wrong. If I flip it over, you can see now everything sits correctly, and that's exactly how it's going to sit, just like that, when it is actually in place. Next, what we need to do is we need to grab the actual shifter assembly. It's going to push down in there. One thing I did read online when looking at this kit, if I can get this to focus properly, you'll see that it won't focus. Awesome. This little pin right in here, there is a little Allen head on it. What do you call it? That is going to be, geez, focus. You can kind of see it. There's an Allen head in there, which I will find out what size it is, and some people have to push it this way, like towards me, so that the more of the threaded section sticks out, so that it fully locks in place with the what do you call it, with the shifter assembly, so that there's no like play back and forth or up and down. But I'll let you know if I need to do that with this one, or if that's just for certain other kits. Grab an Allen key just in case we need it. It's a size 2 for this section. I also grabbed our shift assembly, and then from there, what we're going to do now is we will set this over, just like so. Then we will grab our shifter assembly. I want to make sure that that is flat, and we're just going to slide it down in there. Oops. Is that? Oh, nice. Awesome. So apparently there's too much fluid in there. Alrighty, so now pretty much one of the last few parts. So I have the white little collar on here like I showed you. That's on. Used a hammer just to lightly tap it in place, and then this slides over. You're just going to line the holes up. And the reason I didn't go too crazy on worrying about that white section is just because this plate is just going to sandwich it together, and then, you know, that way it's just going to pretty much do the work for you, so you don't have to worry about hitting anything with a hammer or potentially messing anything up. So let me tighten that up now, and then we'll see how it feels. What you're going to use here, I have one set up already. So let's see. So they supply obviously 3 bolts, 3 nuts, and 3 locking washers. So I have a bolt, washer, and locking washer on here. I think it's honestly just to space it out and everything. What do you call it? I used the impact for part of it, but then I used my ratchet just to make sure everything was properly tightened. Just better to use a ratchet so you don't over tighten or go too crazy on anything. At the end of the day, it is the eBay parts, eBay bolts. Other than that, everything is in tight, very, very notchy. It feels really good. Can't wait to get the shift knob on here so I can feel exactly how it's going to feel. A tiny bit of movement, but it should be fine. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with how it looks, how it feels. It's definitely way shorter. I mean, if I go over to first here and then back to second, I mean, it's definitely notchy for sure. So let me get everything else back on. Obviously putting the center console and everything on is just the way I took it off in reverse. So let me get that on, let me get the shift knob on, and we'll see how this feels. Here's the finished product, everyone. Got the armrest all back in, and coming up here, I went with, this was just a knob that I found when I was just shopping around for the whole kit and everything. Feels kind of nice. I wanted something to kind of fit in the palm of my hand nicely, but I could kind of either grab it top or side or anywhere. This kind of fits the bill. This knob was, I think, like $26, and it's still got, it's not really like weighted, but it still has some nice feel to it. Definitely doesn't help with the short throws because it's a taller knob, but at the end of the day, it's a Miata. We're not doing anything crazy with it. But as far as comfort, feel, and like overall like daily ability goes, I think this is going to be the perfect setup. The second to third was always like my biggest like grief with this car. I felt like second I would always find myself going all the way over to fifth, which you really got to try with this setup. I'm going to take it out for a drive here in a few minutes, but if you go like second right into third, it feels very good. The only thing that's going to take some getting used to is the like fifth gear is a little bit of like a really like over and up. Same with reverse, you kind of got to give it some force. Obviously it still goes in, no problem, but it's just going to be some adjustment over the stock setup. But overall, really like the overall setup of it. New boot is going to be coming in soon, but I'm still on the fence on if I want to delete the whole center console or what I want to do. So yeah, really like the setup, and I hope you guys like the install and everything. It's pretty straightforward, definitely a little tinkering you got to do to get it right, but it definitely feels really nice, and it's well worth the time. Alright, I hope you all liked the video. I'm going to be just pretty much picking up the rest of my stuff, and then going to take it out for a test drive, make sure everything functions properly, and make sure it all feels as it should, pick up my mess obviously, and see how it feels. Got a lot to pick up, just a few tools that like I didn't expect I'd need. A pick was a big one that what do you call it? A pick was a big one that I really didn't think I would ever have needed. Pick's nice because like you can kind of like scoop out this part over here, which is this, I think. It went down in the shifter assembly area. It's just better than digging your fingers down in all the gear oil. And then just a bunch of other little odds and ends. Other than that, very straightforward install, and definitely recommend it for the cost and everything. Definitely really good. I'll drop links and everything below, and make sure you like and share the video. Thank you, and subscribe.